Good day. My condolences to the family in BC that lost that young woman's life in the forest fire. A tree fell on top of her. It's very sad. Again, my condolences to the family and friends. Today, we are going to talk about literacy again. We're going to talk about 1988, the conference that Barbara Bush, when she was the First Lady, she held a conference in November of '88. The company that I cannot remember the name invited me to the conference. I also got an invitation to the White House to meet Barbara Bush, Mrs. Bush. Pretty cool, if I say so myself. The conference was about forcing adults to take a literacy test in the workforce. In other words, for people like myself that kind of kept the literacy thing to the low, like we didn't discuss it to our employees or anything. They wanted to force the adults to find out who they are. And of course, I'm against that. I always was, and I will always be against something like that. If you're not able to do the job, if you're doing the job and you're doing it well, then leave them alone. There's no reason. If they're not doing the job well, then you fire them. But you don't really need to know all that stuff about literacy. And the Americans were going to push that law through Congress. Now here's the thing. You got to remember, anything that happens in the States, and I believe this sincerely, anything that happens in the States does come to Canada. It may take some years, but it will come to Canada. So if you fight it there, you're fighting it in Canada before it even starts. That was the method. That was my idea. Now, I was just supposed to go there and take part, and as far as observing and meeting other people with literacy issues, adults. And let me tell you something. I met doctors, I met lawyers, I met politicians, I met engineers. All of these people that couldn't read or write, they got their degree, and they got their job, and they got their profession, and they're doing very well. So literacy, not being able to read or write, trust me, there is so many methods that we can use to overcome that issue, to be successful. I know I've used some of them. Am I successful? Absolutely not. But that's more me, not because of my literacy. But whatever, I'm not going down that road. So I was just supposed to watch. Well, sure enough, I'm invited up on stage to talk in front of 500 people, if not more. Well, I'm not much of a public speaker, and I didn't have anything prepared because I wasn't expecting to do that. And to be quite honest, I am just a tiny little bit of an American basher. Sorry, just a little. I know I'm bad. So I had to watch myself not to do that when I'm up on stage. And again, it's all the top of my head. So anyhow, it was a decent speech that I gave, presentation. I did well. I didn't get myself into trouble, thank God. So I did okay. I touched on it a little bit, but I pulled back quick. But bottom line is, it was an important time in our history for adult literacy because it did get squashed. It didn't go anywhere. We fought it. I met the senator from Alaska. I didn't get to choose. They just told me. I went to the White House, and believe me, the screening was 6 months before it took. The RCMP had to take my fingerprints and, the whole 9 yards before I even got myself into the White House. But I managed to, it was good. I got in there, and I met Barbara Bush, and I had a picture of me and Barbara Bush shaking hands. Where that picture is, we'll leave it alone because I don't have it. I don't know what happened to it, but I don't have it. So the thing that I always go back to saying, if it wasn't for Mrs. Jones that gave me the confidence to do whatever I needed to do, and I've done that. Nothing. I went and worked on an offshore oil rig for 6 months for Crosby Offshore Drilling in the Maritimes. And I had to take an MED course, Marine Emergency Duty course, and it was a 3-week course in Summerside, PEI. Now, keep in mind, my reading sucks. My spelling is even worse. It was a 3-week course. I did the course. I passed the course. I'm not going to brag here, but I barely passed the course. But I passed. That was the main thing. And I got to work on offshore oil rig for a while. That's another story for another time. Also was a long-haul truck driver. You get your manifest to say where you're going with the load, and you got to look it up in your map, and no GPS back then. No cell phones, no GPS. It was the old open up the map and learn how to read a map. And that's what I did. I had to learn to read the map. And I took down all these names of cities that I had to go through and what roads I did, all on a clipboard. And my reading wasn't great, but the spelling of the words were the same. So as long as I get the first 3 or 4 letters of the word, I knew and matched. Now, again, this is before all the new laws were in, and distracted driving, I know, but that's, whatever. If you can't walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time, maybe you shouldn't be walking. What can I say? If you can't do it, don't do it. You're forced to do whatever. You're forced to do what you need to do. You do it without anybody getting hurt because you train yourself to do it. Again, I'm not getting into that even though I did. Bottom line is, for young adults that are having trouble reading and writing, I cannot say this enough. The only person that stops you is yourself. There is not a reason in the world you can't achieve whatever you want to achieve. Now, in this day and age, with all the tools and technologies that you have to help you, to assist you in your reading and writing, is phenomenal. I wish I would have had half of or 3/4 of the technology we have today when I was a kid or when I was a young adult. Would it have changed my life? Who knows? But the fact is, when we had this macro system in our trucks, satellites and keyboards, right? The dispatch would send you a message over the satellite, and you would have to send a message back.